a lovely morning it is to have our weekly brunch. In case you ladies and gentlemen don't know, my name is Trip,
And my name is Eleanor.
and this week on Brunch Notes, we will be discussing the world-renowned poem entitled Dante's Inferno.
We begin our journey through hell with Dante, when the poor lost soul wakes up in the Wood of Error. This is where our friend meets his companion, Virgil. Virgil acts as his guide and protector throughout his journey through hell. Virgil represents human reason and wisdom.
As Dante and Virgil attempt to journey to the top of the mountain, where Dante's love Beatrice awaits them, their path is abruptly blocked by a dubious leopard, she-wolf, and lion, who inform them that they must go through hell to get to their destination.
The duo descends into the beginning parts of hell, called the vestibule. These souls aren't technically in hell because they were neither good nor evil during their lifetimes. They were bystanders of life, if you will.
Now, Circle 1 is where hell truly starts, ladies and gents. Dante now enters Limbo, where these suffering souls had to live their lives without Christ, but still lived rightfully just lives.
These souls are our beautifully renowned poets and philosophers in ancient times. They live in a castle, and this is also where Virgil resides when he's not guiding Dante through hell.
Ah, the lustful. These eternally beautiful souls are in Circle 2. Like all of us here on the Upper East Side, they were caught up in their passions, and because of this, they are caught in a constant whirlwind. This is also where we find Minos, whose pale coils determine the level of damnation of each individual who goes to hell.
Garbage and filth, the antithesis of the Upper East Side, is the perfect descriptor for Circle 3, which holds the gluttons. Dante sees the souls that are damned to live in constant filth of Circle 3. Although there are some that are close to me that are guilty of this, we like to think that our investments are to better ourselves, so that's why we do what's more than what's intended with
The only thing that those in Circle 4 should hoard is clothes from Saks and Bendels, and the only thing that they should waste is other people's time. That's just not the case for them. The hoarders and wasters are constantly clashing, and for good reason. They're complete opposites.
Now, the river Styx is where we meet the wrath, which is a pretty typical emotion amongst our group of friends, since all of us seek revenge on those who do us wrong, no matter who it is or how much we have to do.
I'm just happy that we don't get stuck in a disgusting river of slime like these souls. Dante then strolls through the gleaming city of Dis. Now, when I think of the city of Dis, I tend to think of our own New York City, because they're both some of the most beautiful sights that an eye can behold. Now, Dis marks the division between Upper and Lower Hell, kind of like the division between the place like the Upper East Side and a place like Brooklyn.
Now, the heretics, those whose opinion differs from the religious dogma, are made to succumb to their views by laying in the tombs made of blazing hot iron and fire. Circle 7 is the eternal resting place of the Bible. Now, this circle is divided into 3 divisions, much like the boroughs of New York City. These circles hold the different types of violent offenders: violence against neighbor, violence against self, and violence against God, art, and nature.
Ah, the fraudulent of Circle 8. Now, if I had to guess, this is probably where most of our families would end up if we ever ended up in hell, but let's be honest, is that ever really gonna happen?
Everyone around us has been guilty of hypocrisy, flattery, pandering, and seduction. But what else would you expect from us as we try to be on top? And if they don't end up with the fraudulent, many of us would eternally lie here, in Circle 9, where those who are treacherous to their country, kin, guests, and masters are going.
Almost everybody has betrayed their closest kinships for some reason or another, but we might just be in a little fight for the time being, not encased in ice to the point where we can't move.
This is also where we meet Satan, who is the equivalent of that monster enemy that we banished when Moses died. This is also where we meet the 3 worst sinners in history, according to Dante. They are Brutus, Judas, and Cassius, and each is trapped in one of Satan's 3 mouths, damned to be chewed on forever. Dante and Virgil finally escape from hell into what is known as purgatory by scaling Satan.
Alright, now let's move on to the analysis, as Inferno is just brimming with motifs and symbolism, just like our complex lives here in Manhattan.
One of the primary aspects of the Inferno is the symbolism in the journey that Dante takes. as we all know from our life in private schools. In literature, a journey is usually symbolic of the journey we all have in life, and Dante's journey through hell is no different.
The reasoning behind Dante's journey finds its basis in Dante the person's life. Dante was exiled from his beloved home of Florence, Italy, which caused him to have a crisis of faith and lose his way. Now, the Wood of Error is symbolic of Dante being lost from where he's supposed to be. Now, we can all sympathize, as we'd be lost if we ever had to leave New York.
Another interesting aspect of Inferno is the Dante trifecta. Now, Dante the person is the real Dante, who lived from 1265 to 1321, was born in Florence, one of our favorite summer travel places. Dante the pilgrim is the character in the epic, meant to be Dante himself, who travels throughout hell with Virgil as his companion. And finally, Dante the poet is the architect of this beautiful epic, who cleverly employs poetic verse to construct the story of Inferno.
Dante the poet also made the interesting choice to write Inferno in Italian instead of Latin. At the time, most literary works were published in Latin, as most people who could read knew Latin. However, Italian was the most common spoken language, and Dante the poet wanted Inferno to be accessible to the plebeians.
Now, the bulk of the analysis to be done in Inferno is in analyzing who is in hell and where they are located, which is based upon their sin and who they were in their lives. Many of the characters in hell are Greek, which is unsurprising, as it is well known that Dante hated the Greeks. In this work, Dante took some liberties to share his own opinions on hell and who should be placed in it, including some popes, which sparked some controversy.
Now, there is also interesting analysis in the three beasts that we meet at the beginning. The she-wolf symbolizes incontinence, which is a lack of self-restraint, which we are no stranger to. Incontinence is portrayed as the least severe sin, as those who are incontinent are sentenced to the upper levels of hell, which feature less severe punishments.
The lion symbolizes violence, which is determined by Dante to be a worse sin than incontinence, and the violent sinners are subjected to the mid-levels of hell, which feature the more severe punishments.
The leopard symbolizes malice and fraud, which is the worst sin that anyone can commit, according to this seminal piece of literary genius. The malicious and fraudulent are relegated to the very lowest levels of hell, with the worst punishments possible. This reflects the idea of divine retribution, which is pervasive throughout the work.
Thank you for watching our insightful interpretation of this amazing literary work. Next week, we'll be discussing Wuthering Heights here on Brunch Notes.